Lust. Let's kick things off with lust. Now, lust isn't just about wanting something. It's about craving it so intensely that it consumes your every thought. Picture your obsession with that latest tech gadget, or binge-watching a new series so much that you forget what daylight looks like. But instead of just a new gadget or Netflix, lust dives into the realm of physical pleasure and desire. In medieval times, lust wasn't just a personal struggle, it was a public spectacle. Artists loved to depict lust in all its scandalous glory. They went all out with their creativity. Think of scenes where lust is shown being consumed by flames or surrounded by demons. It was like an over-the-top reality show, but with more fire and less filter. Imagine the artists had a blast creating these visual extravaganzas. They were like, let's turn up the drama dial to 11. Lust was often depicted as a seductive figure that could lure people away from their righteous path. Medieval thinkers and theologians warned that lust could lead to all sorts of trouble, from broken relationships to ruined reputations. In some particularly vivid medieval artwork, lust was portrayed not only with demons, but also with a group of people being led astray by a seductive figure. It's as if lust had its own entourage, leading unsuspecting souls down a path of depravity. It was less about a single sin, and more like an entire circus of moral chaos. Gluttony. Next on our sinful menu is gluttony. And no, this isn't just about indulging in a second slice of pizza, though let's be honest, that can be tempting. Gluttony is about taking things to the extreme. Imagine your craving for more food morphing into a full-blown buffet of overindulgence. It's like stuffing yourself so much that you need a forklift to get up from the table. But here's the twist. Gluttony isn't limited to just food. It's any relentless pursuit of more. More money, more attention, more possessions, until you've got so much stuff that you're practically buried under it all. Imagine someone who collects so many knickknacks that their house looks like a cross between a flea market and a museum exhibit. Here's where it gets really juicy. Medieval artists had a field day illustrating gluttony in the most dramatic ways possible. Some of these illustrations show a figure being force-fed even more food as punishment. Imagine that. A never-ending feast where you're not just overindulging, but being actively stuffed beyond belief. It's like a nightmare scenario where every bite is an extra helping of karma. In these medieval depictions, gluttony was often portrayed with an enormous belly, sometimes even bursting at the seams, and surrounded by piles of food. Some illustrations even went so far as to show gluttony being punished in hell by having his stomach torn open and filled with serpents and toads. It's a bit like saying, not only did you overeat, but now you're literally paying for it. In today's world, gluttony might look a bit different, but is no less relevant. It could manifest as overindulgence in technology, shopping, or even social media. Ever found yourself scrolling through your feed for hours, convinced you need just one more meme to brighten your day? That's gluttony in the digital age, seeking more content, more likes, and more validation to the point of excess. Greed. Let's move on to greed, the sin that's all about never having enough. Imagine a character like Scrooge McDuck, but instead of diving into a vault of coins for fun, they're obsessively hoarding wealth and possessions, convinced that the next pile of gold or shiny object will finally make them happy. Spoiler alert, it never does. Greed isn't just about wanting things, it's about an insatiable hunger for more, and more. It's like having an endless craving for dessert, but instead of sweets, you're after money, power, or possessions. Picture someone so focused on accumulating wealth that they could make a dragon's hoard look like spare change. In medieval times, greed was more than just a character flaw. It was seen as a major moral catastrophe. People believed that greed didn't just impact the individual, it had the power to corrupt societies. It could lead to exploitation, fraud, and a whole lot of social chaos. Fast forward to today, and greed still thrives in different forms. It's not just about financial gain. It's present in the pursuit of fame, social media followers, or even power. Ever seen someone so obsessed with their social media image that they'll do anything for likes and followers? That's modern greed in action, seeking validation and excess in the digital age. Some studies suggest that the more people pursue material wealth, the less happy they tend to be. It's like chasing after a mirage. No matter how much you get, it's always just out of reach. So, next time you're tempted to jump into the latest get-rich-quick scheme or obsess over the next big thing, remember, sometimes true wealth lies in the things that can't be bought. Sloth. Next up is sloth. And before you roll your eyes, Let's get real. Sloth isn't just about hitting the snooze button one too many times or lounging on the couch. It's about a profound lack of motivation and a general disinterest in doing anything productive or meaningful. Picture someone who spends the entire weekend binge-watching TV shows while ignoring all their responsibilities. It's not just about enjoying some downtime. It's about letting life pass you by. Back in the Middle Ages, sloth was seen as a serious threat, not just to the individual, but to society as a whole. It was believed that sloth could lead to personal and societal decay. Imagine if everyone in your community decided to do nothing all day. Nothing would get done, businesses would fail, and the entire system would collapse. Sloth was like the ultimate productivity killer, with consequences far beyond just missing a few deadlines. Some medieval depictions showed sloth as a person lying in bed while surrounded by various tasks and responsibilities, all waiting to be addressed. The visual was designed to make a strong statement about how procrastination and neglect could lead to a life that's not just unproductive, but spiritually barren. It's like looking at a heap of unfulfilled potential, just gathering dust. In this modern world, sloth still has a grip on many of us, albeit in new forms. It's not just about skipping chores or avoiding work. It's about how the allure of instant gratification can lead to a cycle of inaction and neglect. Ever found yourself trapped in a cycle of Netflix, snacks, and more Netflix, only to look up and realize you've wasted an entire day? That's modern sloth, wrapped up in a digital age package. Wrath. Wrath is a sin that's all about rage and fury. Just think of losing your temper so spectacularly that you're shouting at the microwave for not heating your leftovers fast enough. Yeah, it's that level of intensity, but cranked up to 11. Wrath is more than just a bad mood. It's like a full-on volcanic eruption of anger that can scorch everything in its path. Some may even describe it as another day on the rift. Medieval artists and writers didn't hold back when depicting wrath. They often portrayed it as a figure wielding a sword or a fiery spear, symbolizing the destructive potential of unchecked anger. It's like wrath was completed with weaponry and a fiery demeanor. The message was clear. When wrath takes over, it's not just an emotional outburst. It can lead to serious consequences and devastation. Medieval illustrations conveyed how wrath can spread like wildfire, consuming everything in its path. Imagine a character so engulfed in rage that they're literally setting things on a blaze. Talk about burning bridges. Till today, wrath still has a presence, though it's often channeled through different means. Road rage, social media feuds, and online trolling are all modern manifestations of wrath. Ever seen a comment thread explodes into a full-blown argument over something trivial? That's wrath in the digital age, where a moment of irritation can escalate into a virtual battlefield. Interestingly, wrath can sometimes be a response to deeper issues, such as feeling powerless or ignored. It's not always about being an angry person. Sometimes, it's about frustration boiling over when people feel their concerns aren't being addressed. So while wrath might seem like just a fiery outburst, it can also be a signal that something deeper needs attention. Envy. Envy is that sneaky little monster that makes you covet what others have. Picture this. Someone's driving around in a brand new car with that fresh off the lot shine, and there you are, fuming over their good fortune while silently plotting to accidentally bump into them in the grocery store. But envy isn't just about feeling a twinge of jealousy. It's about letting that green-eyed monster consume you to the point where you start wishing misfortune upon others, just to feel better about yourself. Envy was often depicting it as a sinister figure, accompanied by serpents, or even a devil whispering in someone's ear. These illustrations weren't just for shock value. They were meant to symbolize how envy corrupts the mind and poisons relationships. Imagine envy as that sly whisperer who's constantly feeding you thoughts of dissatisfaction and jealousy. Definitely not the voice of reason. In some medieval depictions, envy was shown with a face twisted in anguish, clutching a heart symbolizing bitterness. It's like the artists were trying to show that envy not only eats away at your happiness, but also leaves you feeling emotionally empty and tortured. Envy wasn't just a feeling. It was portrayed as a physical affliction that consumed and distorted one's sense of well-being. Envy is alive and kicking, though it often manifests through social media. Ever found yourself scrolling through someone's Instagram feed, feeling that gnawing jealousy over their seemingly perfect vacation photos or their seemingly flawless life? That's modern envy in action, where curated highlights of other people's lives make us question our own. It's like comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel and feeling worse for it. Interestingly, envy can sometimes lead to self-improvement if you handle it constructively. Seeing someone else's success can be a motivator to better yourself if you use that envy as a catalyst for positive change rather than letting it fester into bitterness. So while envy itself might be corrosive, it doesn't have to be a dead end. It can be a starting point for personal growth. Pride. Here we are at the top of the list with pride, the sin that's basically the heavyweight champion of egotistical behavior. Pride is all about having an inflated sense of self-importance. Imagine someone who's not just confident, but is practically bursting with self-regard, constantly bragging about their achievements to the point where everyone else is rolling their eyes and searching for the nearest escape route. That's pride for you. Pride was often depicting it in grandiose and dramatic ways. One popular image was of pride holding a mirror, gazing lovingly at their own reflection. It's like they were saying, "I'm so fabulous. I need a constant reminder of how amazing I am." This portrayal wasn't just for show. It symbolized how pride can lead to self-obsession and a disconnect from the reality of other people's worth and contributions. In this 21st century, and pride is still going strong, but with a modern twist. In the age of social media, pride often manifests as bragging on platforms like Instagram, LinkedIn, or even your group chat. Ever seen someone post yet another humble brag about their latest achievement, accompanied by a selfie that screams, "Look at me, I'm amazing"? That's pride in the digital age. It's like we've all become mini celebrities, constantly trying to outshine each other. Interestingly, while pride is often seen as a negative trait, it can sometimes be a double-edged sword. In small doses, healthy self-esteem and confidence are crucial for personal growth and success. The trick is to balance confidence with humility, acknowledging your strengths without stepping on others to elevate yourself. So while a bit of pride can be motivating, too much of it can turn you into that person everyone loves to hate.
If you want to improve your mind and satisfy your hunger for knowledge, evolve your brain by liking and subscribing. Let's advance our intelligence together. I'll see you next time.